Go. Okay. I mean, I can always still edit it, so it has started now. Um, Thank you, everyone. This is the first edition of a live story that I'll be bringing to you on regular basis. I don't know whether it's going to be weekly or monthly for now, but this has been my own passion to really talk to people who have really achieved either in their career or their whatever endeavors they've done. And the first person I'll be bringing to you is Andrew Bruun. Andrew Bruun happened to be someone that I know. I work for him. He's the CEO of YSAS, which is Youth Support and Advocacy Service. Um, so we'll be talking to Andrew. He will tell us his life story, and we really want to know what he has done along the way before he gets to this point where he's really managing an association that looking after less privileged young people in our society, and how he's been able to really keep that going. So welcome, Andrew.
Great to be here, Latif. Yeah.
Yes. Andrew, I know you are a very, very busy man, and I thank you so much for really creating this time to do this. I know this is the second time we're trying, and I'm really glad we're really going ahead. So, the first question I want to ask you is uh, so where did you grow up? Were you born
Okay.
here in
Yeah.
Australia, or did you
No,
migrate to Australia? And yeah,
I'm really, yeah, that's a great place to start. And just to say again, I'm super happy to be here and very honored that you chose me to be your first person. And I've really loved getting to know you over the last few years. So, and anyway, so thank you very much. And uh, so I grew up in southeast Queensland in a town called Brisbane, in the northern suburbs of Brisbane. Um, my parents, my father's family is from overseas and are a migrant family.
okay,
They're from Denmark, and my mother's family uh, have been in Australia since the late 19th century, so the late
wow,
1800s. Um, but they stayed. All of her um, parents, grandparents, great grandparents uh, stayed within the German community. So they came from
oh,
different parts of Germany. Um, so they come from different parts of Germany, and I think they were very centered around the Lutheran Church, which is most people who are from Northern Europe and Germany have a Christian background
yeah,
originally, and many of them, certainly just about all of the people from Denmark and most of the people from Germany would be, depending on what part, would be Lutheran.
hmm,
And I grew up in um, the local area that my mother grew up in northern Brisbane, and her grandparents had farms in that area,
okay,
and so the house that I grew up on was actually uh, in a suburb by the time I was born, with lots of other houses, but it was on the farm
on the
that they,
farm, okay.
yeah, originally that they had. So I had a strange experience in some ways of many generations, maybe three generations had been on that before me, had been on that land. Not as long as the Aboriginal people from that area,
That's
but
correct.
of course that's their land. And that's also a very sad story, obviously, about uh, how they had to cope with, I guess, people invading. That's a
That's
way to put
correct.
it.
Their
For
land,
them, it's
yeah.
like that. And the people invading, that my people who are a part of coming to this country were
Hmm,
trying to get a better future, like
that's
like
right.
maybe your people, Latif, like your family. So it was all about trying to get a better future, and they probably weren't really aware so much when they arrived about what part they played in what that meant for Aboriginal people in that local land. I know my great-grandfather, his name was Daniel Bentfo. He did understand. He was a
Okay.
really great man. He was died before I was born. I was born in 1965. He died in 1955. But I feel this spiritual connection with him very much. He left a lot of writing. That's how
Wow.
I know, and I know through my grandmother and my auntie and just about what he was like, and some other relations. So I like to pay my respect to him.
That's very
And
important.
yeah, very much, very much. He was a big, tall man with big ears and a big nose like me. So
So you still have his
um,
picture somewhere?
yeah, sure, yeah.
Oh, that's
And his
great.
story, I have his story, and he could see. Well, he had I think felt a real sense of justice, and he could see
Mm,
what was happening for that community. He didn't blame them. A lot
mm.
of white people in Australia blamed the Aboriginal people for what was happening for them, and that
Yeah,
word othered.
that's a
They
bit
created
strange.
them as
Yeah.
other. Yeah, they did.
Mm,
They did. And where I grew up, they were doing that. Like, I actually, the suburb that I ended up, that again, that was my great grandparents' farmland, right? Um, uh, and it was a suburb, and the suburb I grew up in had a lot of Aboriginal people in it, in the northern
okay.
suburbs of Brisbane, and it was actually quite a poor suburb. It wasn't
Yeah.
a wealthy suburb. It had a lot of what we used to call housing commission properties
Okay. Yeah.
built on it,
Th-
and in fact, the house I grew up in was a what was called a war service home. So after World War II, the Queensland government built houses for returned veterans, and there was other housing commission places in the area, very small places with made of weatherboards
Wow.
on little stilts, and quite a lot of people packed in closely together. And because my grandparents, great grandparents, my grandfather, that was his parents' area. Um, my grandmother had come from another German settlement area in Brisbane, another part of Brisbane called Mount Cotton. But she was coming to his area to live, and
Mm,
yeah, on that land there was a lot of uncles and aunties and cousins for me everywhere from that German community. And then they were all going to the same church together. So I had a lot of community connection, a lot. It was
wow,
like,
that's great.
so I feel a little bit, maybe a little bit. When I talk to you, I know a little bit about African communities. I had a lot of people I called uncle and auntie,
Oh,
and
that's great.
yeah, yeah.
So did you ever work in the farm at all, or did you have chance to visit
I
the
actually,
farmlands?
by the time I was born, my grandparents were from mum's side. They weren't on the farm anymore, uh,
Oh, yes, that's
but
right.
but there was still some cousins of mine that lived further out in not in the city anymore. So I had some in a place called Strathpine, had a potato farm that I used to visit,
Okay,
and because the city hadn't got there yet. You know what I mean?
that's
Like
right. Yeah.
the city had
So,
overtaken my grandparents' farm, yeah. And then my another relation cousins were down at Coomera, near behind where Dreamworld is on the Gold Coast, and
okay.
they had a dairy farm there, and I used to go there, stay on the holidays, and I worked on the farm there. And I got up very early with the cows, and had to clean all the uh, cow, excuse the language, but the cow shit out of the dairy and
That's
all
right.
that sort of. I wasn't doing anything exciting there. So it was just a lot of hard work for fun. And
Yeah, that would
so
be a
I
good
did have that.
experience.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's great. That's
yeah.
great.
It was fun. That
So,
was a lot of fun. Yeah.
yeah, it's good to know this. And so, in terms of siblings, do you have any sibling? What's your position
I am
in
the
the
oldest
family?
son, and I have
Okay,
a little brother who is um who is 3 years younger than me,
okay.
and we have a very deep relationship, a very
Relationship. Wow.
special relationship. Yeah, I have two children, Lena, who's 21, and Evie, who's 17. And I'll talk about them later. But my brother had a wife, Bernadette, who was very close with me and my partner, Angie.
Okay.
And unfortunately, she died in an accident
Wow.
in COVID in 2020. And
Wow. Sorry to hear that.
it's very sad. Yeah, it was so. Yeah, we were close, very close, and close to her family, and they didn't have children.
Ah,
So
wow.
my brother's the godfather of. I'm not religious anymore. I grew up in the church thing, so I have I think a spiritual belief system and feelings, right, and connections, but I don't have organized religion now in my life.
Yeah, I mean that was actually going to be my next question
Mm.
because I mean you did mention that you believe that your great grandparents they were Lutheran, they were attending
They
Lutheran
were,
churches.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right. So, which in a way I felt that. Do you think the way you were raised was there any connection with religion, or was that part of how
Very
you were
strong,
raised at home?
very strong religious basis, and that there's two sides to that. And one of the reasons why I'm not really that not involved in organized
Mm,
religion, I have respect for it, but an also understanding of how it can be very, very beautiful and beneficial for
mm,
communities and for individuals and people, and gives them a way of understanding what's happening for them, a way of getting through challenges and things like that. I really understand that. I've understand that from me too, because of my experience. But I can also see some of the harm it has done, the
mm,
organized religion, and depending on what religion it is, but it can create the conditions where people feel like they can't be themselves, or they feel
mm.
judged, or they feel and and yes, so we can talk about more of that more
No,
if
no, that's
you're
all right. Yeah,
interested.
I mean, yeah. No.
But in terms of an upbringing, um, like that community that I had to be a part of was I learned from my friend Mamadou, who runs Afro.
Okay.
It's African community-led organisation in Melbourne. Mamadou's from Senegal, but you may or may not know that organisation, Latif. But I
Yeah, I
think they're
think
great.
I've seen the name before. Yeah.
Mamadou's a great person. He's Muslim, and I did Ramadan with him last year, not this year. So I
Okay.
just to experience it and learn about it and things like that. So, but now why was I explaining that? I can't
Well,
remember, Latif.
well, the thing is, yeah, no,
Oh
no, that's all
yeah,
right.
I
No,
know, no, yeah,
you say like you're not religious, but at the same time, you still accept the good part of religion.
of
But I know
course,
this
and
is not
people,
definitely a religious kind of talk. Just for me to really understand how your
yeah,
parents kind of raised you.
yeah,
So in a way, okay, if I say that, so where do you get your values from?
yeah,
Like part of the things some people actually embrace religion is just to actually have a kind of peculiar values.
yeah.
So in a way, where do you get your own value from?
Okay, so I'm going to finish what I said. I'm going to answer your question, right? Because I was trying to remember. So Mamadou told me about Ubuntu, and he gave this one line, which I've always remember now. I am because we are.
Mm,
I love it, and that's how I grew up with those people. I am because we are in that community. That's that small community. So I had that in the church, and then
mm,
and many uncles and aunties and people in there, and a community that had been once a migrant community from the German community who'd been here some generations and things like that. So there was a real sense that everyone had their place. Everyone had to was accepted. So it
mm,
was what I liked about it was the local accountant, the local doctor who was German Lutheran, and the person who was a cement mixer, or like a cementer, or
That's
someone
correct.
who's a builder, or someone who worked as a garbage collector. They were all someone who had no job. They were all connected together, and there was a sense we were working. I don't know. There was just a sense we're all one community helping each other get through, and then that church would do things like had a child care center and had a youth group and had
Mm.
an help elderly people, and so there was a sense of service within that church, and some very wonderful pastors that I got to meet. A
Wow,
fellow
that's
called
great.
Pastor Renner, who's German background, Renner, and then later the second pastor was very influential to me, called Pastor Larsen. Larsen is
Mm.
a Danish background. So he and I was very friends with his son. I spent a lot of time in their house, and I could talk to him about when I was starting to say, I don't think I'm going to stay in the organized religion. I mean, I was about 20, 21. I was thinking, and I could talk to him about my idea of spirituality and what I thought,
Yeah.
and I could thank him really for all what he taught me and what it all meant, and that would always be with me, right? And I feel
Mm.
like that's with me, whether it's in a sports club or at work or something. That sense of we've all got a place, we've all got equal value,
Mm.
working towards something together. It matters very, very deeply to me. That if I don't have that, I wouldn't want to work at YSAS, or I wouldn't want to be involved. I want to create that all the time.
Yeah,
And
I can sense that
yeah,
because I mean, this someone who has got a kind of a value that really appreciate people, not really that
yeah,
you are really after something really flamboyant, or I mean, you could
no,
have gone to do something else in your life and you
yeah,
still be okay.
yeah,
But
yeah,
for the fact that you can really hang around to really provide that environment to
yeah,
look after some of these young people, it shows a lot that you have a very deep and a strong, important value that you've actually acquired for somewhere along the line. So I think
yeah,
that's what I'm trying to get. So which is really important. So let's
yeah,
go back a little bit about your childhood now. Is there any kind of
yeah,
memory you have? Anything
yeah.
that maybe when you and your brother were fighting or
No, no,
something,
no. I know, of course. There was a lot of that. There was
or
a lot of that.
something of any childhood memory that you feel you
And
can share with
I'll
us?
quick. I'll show you something quickly, because I have. This is one of my rooms. I have my. This is my brother. Can you see it?
Oh wow!
That was at his wedding,
Oh, that's
and you can
great.
see, as a joke, he's got the knife up to my throat. Yeah, there. He's a very funny person.
What?
He's very funny, a very lovely man. And you know what he does? I'm so proud of him. He's a psychologist, and
Okay.
he started his own it's like business or organization in southeast Queensland, and it's called Branches, and they do lifestyle support for people with disabilities, like profound
Okay.
disabilities, autism, so they organise the care for a number of families, for their children, who are sometimes older as well,
That's
and
great.
they have employment things they do with, and it's really great. He's done so well with that, and he's a great musician too.
Wow.
He was in a
So
few
what kind of
different bands.
music does it?
It's more kind of rock and roll and
Rock and
popular
roll. Oh,
music,
okay.
but he when he was a kid, he was this is funny memories, but my cousin was learning the drums, so he when he was really little, he's like, I have to learn the drums. We had a very small house, like I said, and everybody knew what everyone else was doing, right?
Then
So when I was when I was growing up, our houses were so close together, and they were just, because it's Queensland and very hot weather. They're all thin, very thin walls. It's like not double brick, and it's like anything's happening in someone's house, you hear the next door neighbor, and so everyone hears everything. So when I was growing up, childhood memory, if I was where we had our shower was right across, maybe just 3 meters across from where the kitchen was in the next door house, the Travis
wow.
family, right? And so I would be singing in the shower, and they would yell out, "Shut up, Andrew!" like
You
that.
can't sing.
Or they'd start singing with me, or they'd be teasing me or something like that. But I'm in there because everyone could hear everyone. Well, my brother, he wanted to learn the drums. So and one thing my parents did, they didn't have a lot of money, but they made sure we had everything we needed, and they backed us up with our sport and anything we wanted. That's important. We were talking about it before, Latif, right? I mean, you're
That's
like that
right.
with your children. And so he's like, I want to play the drums. So my father went and bought him a drum kit, and it took up about half of our lounge room. Like, it's just
Wow.
not half, but a
So
lot, a
big.
lot of it. And he'd sit there, he'd learn. Like, he's 10 years old, just for hours. And
Wow.
it would drive you crazy. But I'm serious. I could be in the main street, like 100 meters away. I could hear
And you
that.
could hear the
I
drum.
could still hear him just jump, 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 jump. And so I used to, it's a funny saying, but as a teasing thing, when you have a wart, what a wart is on your skin. There used
Yes,
to be
that's right.
a comment: if you ignore the wart, it'll go away. If you stop thinking about it, it'll go away. So I used to say, he was the wart drummer. If you ignore him, he'll go away.
You'll go.
And he never went away. And he learned he was a very good drummer. He played in a concert band, like not just rock and roll. And he played for the school and things like that.
Wow, that's
And
great.
and then he went to university and he joined a band called, it's a funny name, called Custard, which became quite famous in Australia. And then he's had his own bands, and he moved to England on a record contract and things like
Okay.
that. So that's his life story. Another time you can do him. He's
That,
good. So I'm
that's
proud of
great. I
him.
mean,
I'm very
yeah.
proud of him. I love him so much. He's
I know.
really a great
I
person.
can see the smile on
Yeah.
your face while narrating
Yeah.
that. So it's actually
Yeah.
a very
And you
great
saw the
memory
picture with
too.
the knife on my there.
So
But
that both of you
yeah,
are
go on.
quite really close.
We're close. We're very close.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So how would you describe your, sorry for cutting you. How would
no,
you
no, don't
describe
worry.
your personality, like when you were in school?
When I was in
I
school, um, I reckon I think um, this is interesting for me because I don't think I think it. So how I was talking about in that church or in my family, I felt
mm,
very safe and connected. So
mm,
I could really be what I felt I could be, sort of who I was, right?
that's
Like
right.
just anything. I was a lot more nervous about going to school because I was like,
Okay.
this is a big thing. So what I found myself doing, and I can even remember this at kindergarten, like I think there's some family story that kindergarten was only just 200 meters from through a park, and I broke out of kindergarten and went home because I wanted to be home with mum, and so they had they had to call my mother. He's left the kindergarten when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and anyway, I got taken back there and all that sort of stuff. But I think I can even feel it. Just like I got used to going to kindergarten, then it was kindergarten, then I had to go to school. And it's like I'm really nervous at school, and got to know people and got to know my teachers. And by the time I finished at school, I was totally myself,
Mm,
totally feeling confident, feeling and that. Then you say, how was I at school? There's no doubt I was a very wholehearted. I loved my classmates. I loved the football team. That was a big thing for me. And uh,
any particular passion or
yeah,
any?
so that's when you. So there's like another childhood memory, which is an important one to explain a lot about me. I think is when I so I went to school, and we ran, and I I got through, and then we have in primary school in Queensland we had 7 levels, right? Grade
Okay.
1 to 7. That's how it was in those times. So by the time I got to grade 4, there was the school football team, and I loved Australian rules football. Even if I was in Queensland where it was mainly rugby, I loved Australian rules football. It was very important to me. I love cricket as well, but Australian rules football. So that was the time you could try out for the football team, right?
Okay.
And I had, because my mum's family were kind of like farmer community, whatever. They weren't. My granddad was into sport. They were more into being farmers and working. They're all
Yeah,
working,
working
right?
hard.
That was
That's
their
right.
whole thing, bloody working. And my dad's family were a migrant family, so they were more working than anyone. And
Okay.
so for my father, when I was growing up, he would work. He had a business called Bruun Transport, a truck driving
Okay.
business, right? He was working at least 60 hours a week doing that in his
Wow.
own business. So at least he'd go every morning. He'd be gone before 6 o'clock in the morning. He didn't come back till 6 o'clock at night, Monday to Friday, right? So, and sometimes he'd do things. Anyway, it's a long story, but he'd do things. But
Yeah.
he constantly had to go to his father. By the time he'd been in Australia for a while, he did quite well. He made quite a good life for himself. My grandfather, called Hans Hansen Bruun, he's from Denmark, from a
Wow.
town called Esbjerg in Denmark, right?
Okay.
So he'd made a pretty good life for himself here, and he owned industrial sheds, quite a big industrial sheds in a place. I'm trying to remember the. So anyway, it doesn't matter. It's in inner Brisbane. And my
Okay.
father would have to go, so he'd work his whole business with his brother. They had Bruun Transport, and then they'd have to go on the weekend. They'd be repairing the sheds, like
Yeah,
like
it's very hard to
like
build
his
a business.
yeah. So he's helping his like the whole way along. His father really thought in Australia, they had 7 children, 5 boys. Unfortunately, one of them passed away early, but the rest of them are all still alive. So
Wow.
yeah, my auntie Ellen just died at 94. And
Wow.
my oldest uncle, my father's brother, he's 97 years old. 97.
So
Anyway,
you should be looking
I
over
could be all right.
100. Over
No,
100. You
no,
should-
no. I could be all right. I'm backing it in. I'm backing, but he's 97. My father's 85 now, but he's 97, right? So he's the oldest, my father's youngest boy. All of them would go and help their father. And because
Mm,
they're a migrant family, it's like you have your own business, we'll all help you, but you have
mm.
to come and help the big family business
That's
as well.
right.
That's it. That's how they lived and grew up, and they worked really hard. So the reason for saying that is they had no when my father was growing up, he had no sport. There was no sport for him
Oh, yeah.
because he was working, and
Yes.
so with my mother's family. So I wanted to play the football team, so I went to try out. I had no practice at kicking or handballing or anything, so I didn't make it. I just didn't make the team. I was like left
Wow.
out, and that's 10 years
Probably
old. I was
persistent.
devastated. Devastated, and I said to my father, "You have to take me to the local football club," which was only about a kilometre away. And
Mm,
it was the Queensland Australian Football League club called Windsor Zilmere, right? Eagles. They were Eagles. Blue and white, eagle on the chest. That was the team,
okay.
right? So I went to the club and I learned football that year when I missed out on the school team. Then the next year, I went to the tryouts and I made the second team, not the first team.
Wow.
And then the next year, I went to the tryouts and I made the first team. And then I was so interested in football, I got my father take me to the tryouts for the Brisbane team to make the team for the whole of Brisbane. And I tried in that grade 6 time when I was 11, and I didn't make it that third year, right? I didn't make Brisbane, but I made my school team. And then the next year, so 4 years after I missed out, fourth time, I worked so hard at it. I loved it so much. I made the Brisbane team. I got to the Brisbane team and I became captain of the uh, first team in my school called G-Bung Primary School. Right, we were the
Wow.
Magpies. So, and I've got a very proud picture of it with my Brisbane jacket. And I remember I wanted to tell you this because it made me cry. It was sort of embarrassing, but I wasn't that embarrassed about it. But it's the wholehearted thing. But I remember we all had the team was picked and we're all around in a big circle, and it was the teacher who was the coach let the players vote for the captain, and we were all
Wow.
sitting on the ground, and they put my name and two other people, and the two other people were playing for the state already at 12. There was a state team. And so I heard them say my name, and I heard all
Andrew.
the hands go up for captain. And I started to, I cried and cried and cried. I still can cry now, Latif,
Wow.
because I couldn't, I felt so, the I remembered, it's only little, but I remember the sort of feeling of like the pain of missing out, and that I worked so hard, and I didn't care if I was captain. I didn't, but the
Yeah.
fact that I got recognized or picked, like from this little
Yeah.
person who couldn't do anything and who couldn't make the team, then they wanted me to be the
The
captain.
majority felt you
I
should
was
lead
so,
them. So
Latif, I can never forget. It's so important to me.
no,
And
it's good to really know this about you. Really, I never knew
then,
you're very competitive, and you
yeah,
are
yeah,
a
yeah,
leader.
true. But then, Latif, then I went to high school. I played cricket as well. So I went to high school, and then I was back to the grade 8, little feeling scared and not, and and I got through. By the time I was in year 12, then I felt good again. And I was captain
Yeah.
again of the football team in the year 12.
Wow.
But so yeah, I was, but it was to work my way up again. And then the same thing, you leave and go to university, you're going to work, and and you start at the bottom and you
Yeah.
work your way up. And
Well,
so I've been at YSAS where we are since it started. I was I can tell you the whole story about how it started, but I was in the implementation team. Guess how long ago? November 1997. I joined Turning Point, is still an organization in Victoria.
yeah,
They
that's
work
right.
for
Yeah, I know
Eastern
that
Health now.
now.
They used to be independent, but they now work for Eastern Health. They're part of Eastern Health. So I joined Turning Point to be part of the implementation team to start YSAS. And so
Wow.
I started YSAS, and I was on the executive team from the start, and I looked after the education and training because I was already about 32 or something like that. And
Well,
I
Andrew,
32 or 3.
we're going to get to that part of
Okay.
your work life. So don't let us jump the gun. Now, let's talk about that. Let's talk about another important one.
Okay.
How did you meet your wife?
I met her at work. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's good.
So she came to this place, Task Force, in the 90s that I was working on. Maybe I met her 1994, something like that. She might have come, and she was a social work student on placement.
Okay.
And I was already the
It's
manager. I was
right.
young, but I was the manager of the youth service there when I was
Okay.
about, I got it. There wasn't as many workers, and our field wasn't as big at the
As
time.
it is now. Yeah.
So I was running a thing called the youth program at Task Force, which is a community-based alcohol and drug service, which got absorbed by Windana. It's now Windana.
Okay.
So I knew all the founder of Task Force, and I knew this fellow Peter Bucci was the founder of Windana, and he was my mentor at the time. I was just in my 20s still, and I got the job as manager of the youth program, but I'd been working in it, and I just loved the work, again, if your work can fit in. You've asked. I know that you are interested in what's my purpose, or I don't think of things like that. But when I had to think about what's my purpose, it really is about making sure everyone's got what they need to get through. And I can see, even when I was growing up, there was a lot of kids who were pretty poor. There was a fair bit of, I would say, what you now call domestic violence. A lot, actually, and a lot of people unemployed, and a lot of alcoholism and things like that. And I could see that I had some struggles myself, but I could see I had the people around me and the opportunities to get through, like people to scaffold me, support me to get through. And I could see people, I was in their houses, they were my friends, these kids, and they were getting beaten up by their dad and who was a drunk, and it'd be, there was child protection, and there was a lot of problems and issues I knew, and people in my football team from the football club who were going off to the youth training centre. It was called Sir Leslie Wilson in Brisbane. They were externalising their problems. They had problems. They were I was more of an internalizer type person. I could sit back and see what was going on and think, I don't want to get involved in that because it's going to go down the wrong track for me. But what I learned is that everyone needs the opportunities and the resources and the supports to get through. And I just love it's not my purpose in life or anything, but what really motivates me is to make sure everyone's got that. Everyone's got a chance. Everyone needs a chance to be themselves and have a better future. Everyone, every person. And that's what makes me inspired. And why I love YSAS is we can do that
everyone
through
in
our
the
work,
channel.
Latif. We can do it through our work. We have a chance to, and it's more sophisticated. We can talk to the government about their policies, how they allocate resources. We can try and get businesses and philanthropists to invest in what we do. But what are we doing? We're meeting kids and families and communities that are struggling because they haven't had the good experiences and opportunities and resources over time. And we can help them find their own way through that and get the opportunities and walk with them and help them see and teach them. And I've done that myself as a worker, as a friend maybe first, and then as a worker, and then as a manager, and then etc. Now I'm the CEO of that same organization, and it's complicated how it all works and fits together, and how you keep the funding going. And but that and the other thing I wanted to say about that is, I don't see YSAS as the only organization who can do what we do. We're a part of a range of other organizations. We all have to work together to help with our purpose.
That's right.
It can only be done if we work together. So I don't like, and this is, I can tell you, a very Danish thing, right? So my dad's Danish background.
That's right. Yeah.
I love Denmark. I've been there 3 times only. I lived there for a little bit, just for 6 months in 1989. So that was the first time I'd been back. My Danish grandmother was still alive at the time, so it was very sweet to be able to be home. It was very nice. Yeah, she was in Australia, but there was no mobile phones and WhatsApp and stuff. I had to call her from Denmark on the payphone or whatever, But I can remember coming back and after being in Denmark and being with her and talking to her and talking about what her family over there are doing. And she was very close to my grandfather's family from Denmark too. And I learned more Danish language, and because when my dad came here, they as a migrant family, his parents stopped their children from speaking Danish because they wanted them to learn English.
Learn English.
So my father grew up here. He only knows. Listen, this is so funny. He knows table manners and swearing. Yeah, when you sit at the table and eat, you have to have you speak in Danish, right? And then he knows some swearing in Danish, but he doesn't know. He can't speak so much. He can understand because I heard his parents, and so it was good for me to go and learn and learn that culture. And why I'm saying about that culture is they have a very strong ethic about cooperation together. They really have that. And they have another ethic about people should be free to be who they are. But for that, you have to join together with others and help others. You can't just say, I'm free to be and not help others. So there's a lot of history of them working cooperatively. So how I like to work with our fellow organizations that we work with, places like Odyssey and Drummond Street and others, is we come together within a kind of a broader market as partners, right? So it's still a competitive market, but if we come together, we can make each other better and stick together and do well within that competitive market. So we should. I also learned this from Master Kim, the guy I was telling you about earlier. He's Grandmaster Kim Yong-sup, who's a Korean person, South Korean person, who's a Hapkido Grandmaster that I learned Hapkido off for 30 years. I trained with him. He's now 90. He's 90 years
Wow.
old. I
Yeah, I
saw him.
met him the
I,
last time. I
you
think
did. He came to
he
Yoruba
came to the
Festival. Yeah, he
Yoruba
did. He
festival.
had so
Yeah.
much fun. Yeah, and I love taking him because he loves other cultures and connections, and he's a great man. And I trained with him for so long, but I learned a lot about Korean culture and philosophy. And I learned about there's something called um, game theory, which is where you don't try and dominate the other person. You try and let them have a stake.
A
They have
chance. Yeah.
something, have a chance. So you're not trying to compete and dominate. So you have some, I have some. We can all get through better together, and that's the
Yeah.
way we should work. Yeah, all the time.
That's great thinking. I mean, just for me to let you know who Andrew Bruun is. So Andrew Bruun is the CEO of an organization called YSAS. You support an advocate service, and you support an advocate service. Uh, Assist young people from age 12 to 25 who are
Mhm.
struggling with drug and alcohol. And as we know, this is a very important area that some of these young people they need our support, and that is what Andrew is saying, that he does work with other organizations who are really
Yeah.
helping out, and they're coming together to really see. And I think this is very important, and I can tell you this is one of the reasons why I just felt. I mean, I believe you did social science and you
Yes.
gradually move up
Yeah.
to become CEO. So I know with your competitiveness with sports, and those are some that's one
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
things I would think probably helped you. But what other thing that really helped you to keep going when you first started becoming a manager, then rising to be the CEO? Is there any other thing that you think really helped you to really keep going and up to now?
Well, I think that that those ethics about like we were talking about before that I learned from my family, either my father's family who came as migrants from Denmark and had to work hard to establish themselves, and then
Yeah.
my mother's family who had been farmers and things like that, and in the community, and then also joining in with sports clubs, a football club, and I'm involved with my kids' clubs now, but my dad really backed us. So learning from all that is is you don't walk away,
Mm,
you stick at it, and you, you, you endure. Like I learned this from Master Kim too, that I talked about before. They have a philosophy in Korea which they say persistence, endurance, and confidence.
mm,
And you develop your confidence because you endure and
mm,
you persist. And they have water principles, where water can flow fast and be powerful, but it also can drip, drip, drip,
mm.
drip, and create big changes by that. So
So
it was
persistent
it,
endurance and
and
confidence.
confidence. And if you can persist
Mm,
and endure, you can feel yourself confident, even
mm,
if things don't work out, bad things happen. And the thing that I learned off that, Latif, which is my main thing that I would say to everybody, is if you persist and endure, you can usually work it out.
mm,
Things can get worked out, and I have a philosophy. This is what kept me going when I was a worker with really disadvantaged kids who had a lot of troubles, and where things were really felt intractable. That if they came to see me, I could do something that could make their life better in some way, even the
mm,
smallest way. Even if I listened to them for 5 minutes and they felt understood, or a pat on the back,
mm,
or I stuck with them for an hour, and or I took them to some appointment, or I whatever it is, or I said I'm going to be here the next day for you, whatever. Just that you always can feel. I call it realistic optimism. Latif, are you there?
yeah, I'm here.
Like you're frozen on my screen.
Ah, really? Can you see?
Yeah. Now you're back. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I call that realistic optimism. So I could feel like when you come to see me, there's always something I can do to make things a little bit better. I don't think I can get the marvelous solution and your problems are all solved, but let's stick together and is there
Mm,
something little? And then little things. There's a famous Australian song, "From little things, big things grow."
Because comes. Wow.
And simple acts of kindness, little things you can do, little steps can become bigger steps, and you can keep supporting someone through. And it's the same thing in management. I have a feeling there's a lot of complicated things that happen, lots of complicated things. And I just have, I have it. I joke with some of my colleagues. It's Beatles mentality, Beatles philosophy. That the band, the Beatles,
Yeah.
which is they have a song, "We can work it out."
Mm.
So I think together we can work it out. And what I learned off Master Kim, what I was saying is that persistence, endurance, confidence.
Mm.
If you can persist with your training, or that, like that was the martial arts training that I did, and if you can persist with your work or with your study or with your sport, you develop that confidence because you become more well-rounded. So the more experiences you have with other people, interacting, engaging, it knocks off your sharp edges.
Mm.
And so in Hapkido, the idea is it's a martial art based on self-defense, not about aggression and attack and who's better and handlebar mustaches and tattoos, and not that, right? It's all about keeping harmony. So if someone is coming at you hard and attacking you, it's about diverting them away, using
And
their own
find a way to
energy
deal with that.
yeah. And the idea is to keep harmony.
Mm.
And if you can keep harmony, you can stick together and try and work things out. But sometimes you have to suppress and learn to be in control of your own feelings, or the things that might make you sharp for others, or rigid. So if you're rigid and you enter a relationship, then you can't be responsive and flexible and moving and balanced. You want to be like a circle. So if you put a circular stone at the top of the hill to roll down, it can roll smoothly down. But if it's a big square stone, it gets stuck. So you can't move smoothly in life if you've got all these sharp edges and needs and things that it has to be this way for me. Otherwise, so then you're trying to make other people the shape that you're, and it's like, no, they've got their life and their path. I got my life and my path. Sometimes we'll be joined up, sometimes we'll be apart. I'm not here to make their life worse. I'm here to try and work together with whatever we're doing together to make things better. And if you have that philosophy, you have to cultivate yourself to be able to be that way. And sometimes I can get annoyed, or I can get. I'm not saying. I'm telling you, I certainly don't think I'm great, I'm just saying that's what I've learned.
Learn over time.
And I'm certainly not perfect like that, but I've learned to stick at it, persist at it. Even if I've made a mistake and it went wrong, or I feel angry about it, what can I learn about that? What are we trying to do together? How does that for the other person? And then try and be smooth. I'm hoping there's an African philosophy that is like that too. I'm just hoping, but because I think there's these universal principles that apply across cultures that we should really come together around. I
That's
do
correct.
think, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So, Andrew, I just want to ask you, like, just for people listening, equally work for Andrew, as I said. I'm one of the senior nurse with the central intake, so
Yeah.
I'm part of the team that really supporting the young people. And there's this question which I've been asking, or which I've been thinking in my head. Definitely, you're an expert in this, and you can tell me more, really, because I know that our principle with YSAS is
Mhm.
more of a psychosocial
Yes.
kind of strategy we're using to really support the young people, which we know really work well. But all along, I do think that. Do you think there's any benefit in bringing in a kind of psychological treatment along with what you do?
Totally. I'm absolutely committed to it. So what we're trying to do at the moment, one of the things that's been really fantastic over the years, we've learned how to better integrate nursing but also medical care. So what nurses can offer in terms of that clinical perspective, and GPs and specialists. We've now got some specialists working in our headspace centres. We've got Laken, who I just respect so much, working as a senior medical advisor, who's I think an adolescent an addiction medicine specialist and an adolescent psychiatrist. Those perspectives, those capabilities become resources for young people to help them get through. And so if we can all join together, me as a social work background, you as a nursing background, Laken from a psychiatry, someone else from a GP, we can create a better pathway for young people and families to have a better future. And we're trying to work on that at the moment. It's an area that we've. So it's funny because I call you a youth work nurse.
That's great.
So I'm a youth worker, like have a social work background. I'm a youth worker. You're a youth work nurse. There's a youth work GP, because we have a similar set of understandings about how to work with young people in a developmentally sensitive way with their family to create that pathway. But we've all got a part to play, and it goes back to the old Master Kim again. I'll mention him again. Like I said, I saw him this morning. I'll tell him that I've had this interview today. He'll be very happy about it. But he told me an old Korean proverb. You know how you make stone walls, and without cement and mortar in between, they pack stones together. You can't make a strong wall if all the stones are the same shape.
Wow.
All the stones have to fit together in their own
different
shapes. Then you can make a strong wall together. But if everyone's the same, well, we're all psychosocial, we're all nurses, we're all psychiatrists, you can't do it. It's not good for that.
Come together.
So yeah, to make that strong wall, strong foundation, we have to be together and respect what we can offer, because all you need to do is focus on what do those young people and families need. Then let's work out how we get it together. And so I'm glad you asked that question, because absolutely we can and should.
Yeah. That's very important. And so I'm looking forward to how you will apply to more funding with the government, so that we can have probably like a psychologist looking after
we're working on
sports at the point.
Because what about, Latif, if when young people are in the residential units that we run or through outreach, they could get a neuropsych assessment?
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
because maybe there's undiagnosed ADHD that could have a treatment that could help them immeasurably.
Fantastic.
As well as the psycho. So actually, we're trying to get something like that together right now to apply to the government for.
Yeah, because as you and I know that some of these young people, they come to this situation by virtue of either maybe there's underlying mental health problem that wasn't diagnosed early, or sometimes because of trauma, in their life.
Exactly.
So, and we actually need someone that will be there while we're dealing with all these other social issues that we can really handle. Maybe a therapist that can really kind of support and solve that problem. I'm really happy for that. Then let's come to recognition. Actually, I did tell someone a while ago that I don't know why Andrew should be nominated for a state award, because you're looking after this organization, like the largest youth drug and alcohol facility in the state. I mean, you should be recognized by the state. And so, in case I don't know, have you really had any award or any recognition before now? Because we'll be looking forward to that. Whatever recognition the state has, we should nominate you.
I'll tell you what I'm happy about and proud of. I've been asked to be on the Youth Disability Advocacy Service in Victoria. So I'm on their board, and I'm not good with money, but I'm their treasurer at the moment because I'm experienced. But it's mainly younger people with disabilities who are on that committee, and it's the Youth Disability Advocacy Service. They were in YACVIC, which is the youth work peak body, and now they're coming to be their own organisation. And I've been on the board before of the Victorian Alcohol and Drug Association, so I was the vice president and been invited for that. So I was honoured by that. And I'm currently the Vice President of the Centre for Excellence in Child and Family Welfare. So I'm proud of those things. And that's not like state acknowledgements, but that's actually a very important role you get voted for. And then you can do a good job together. And that's what I care about. The other stuff, it honestly doesn't matter to me. I love, even I've got to go straight after this, my kids' netball committee
Okay.
meeting, but because the netball club and there's some trials and things I've got to help with. But I love working together with people on that sort of thing. So that's what makes me happy. Sometimes there's a lot of work in it, but yeah. And I think the other thing I should say, that I had a friend who unfortunately died, who was a psychiatrist called Dr. Howard Cooper, who in 2001, even if I'm from the social sciencey background, because of my experience in drug and alcohol, he invited me to be an honorary fellow at the Department of Psychiatry, Melbourne University. And so since 2001, I've worked with the Centre for Developmental Health there as an honorary fellow. Yeah. So I'm still doing that after 24 years, something like that. So I have a seminar to deliver for them in, I think it's the 22nd of September, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So there. So that's it.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew. And as I said, I will be looking forward to we nominating you, and whether it's a state or federal award, because you are really doing a great work in our community, and you need to be honored for that. And now I'll come to. I know you've described how you grew up, your love
Yeah.
life, and your career,
Yeah.
and your principles. So, was there any time in life where you were really faced with a great challenge? Whether it's by virtue of career or or something that came your way that you struggle with. Then how did you overcome it? I know you have your principle of being resilient and kind of mastering things, but is there any particular one that you think can share with us? Any great challenge?
Oh, I have, and I'll say that as a young child, I did have some trauma, but I don't want to talk to you about it, and it's not because I'm denying it or ashamed or anything like that.
Yeah, I can't understand.
No,
Yeah.
but I just want to acknowledge it, because I haven't. There's some people who know about that, and some people who are important to me that don't. But what I can say is, I needed to myself. I reached out for this help when I was about 24, and I saw a great man who actually, unfortunately, also passed away. Like I said,
Wow.
Dr. Howard Cooper passed away. He was the person who got me involved at Department of Psychiatry and at Mindful, the Centre for Developmental Health. And there was a great psychiatrist called Dr. Edwin Harari, who passed away a few years ago, but many people might know him. And I worked with him for many years to address some of those underlying issues,
Difficulty. Yeah.
and I love him. And he's unfortunately died of cancer about 4 years ago, but he stuck by me and helped me unlock a lot of that, and really integrate as a person, because of things that happened. There was some things I kept very locked away that were influencing relationships and other things. I think drove my work, like drove me to the work, and all the stuff I've said already for helping. That's all the same feelings that would be there anyway, maybe, but really enable me through psychoanalysis, really, I think you call it, to be fully open to the world and not have parts hidden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
it's very important to me, and I feel great talking to you about it, because
thank you so
I
much.
can feel it in my stomach here right now, that it feels open and good, not like
Well,
It's bound up,
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I mean, what I can hear you saying is, I mean, even though with your experience growing up, with all the values you have from your parents and the
Yeah,
community and your spiritual master, you at the point in your life you are faced with difficulty, but what you did that actually helped you out was you're able to seek for help.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think this is quite really important to me. Like,
yeah.
in life, no matter how strong we are, we can end up
That's it.
in a
That's
place
it.
where we find it really hard, where we
Yeah,
cannot really help ourselves.
yeah,
And to get over that, we just need to look for the right person that can
yeah.
really help us out.
That's right. And then like I said, it was many years of every single week going to see him. It was persistence as well, and eventually it worked.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with me. So now we're almost getting to the end of this. Have you achieved all? Have you?
Of course not. Come on, Latif. We got you and me. We got a long way to go, brother. Come on.
That's right.
I can I say that because before the podcast, you said we talked about being brothers, right? So that's why I'm saying I'm not being
That's right.
too cool or anything like that. I
That's right.
really mean it, And I got people on the podcast won't know, but when I went to Yoruba Festival, I really loved it. I went the first year and I came back, but before I came back the second year, you gave me a sort of an outfit,
Yeah,
which
I
was
derived from Abeokuta.
from your village, right?
Yeah, from my tribe.
And
That's
you had
right.
the same outfit, and we were there at Yoruba Festival. I bought Master Kim. I was so proud there, and I might add, in terms of a special achievement, I was second best person at the Yoruba Festival
That's right.
2023. Okay, no, oh yeah, 2023. So that is a great award that I am very proud of. Second best
What?
dressed person at Yoruba Festival,
Yeah,
and
that was
wearing
that's
your
quite really
wearing your
good.
village outfit, and my head's of sort of German and Danish square didn't really fit the hat properly, but I'm very proud I was there wearing it, and I thank you. But I must say, it really, I was so happy to get that out. It really, my children and love it. They have the picture of me in it.
I
So
know. I
it's,
can imagine. I
yeah,
can
it's very
imagine.
nice. It's very, very nice. I love it.
So, I mean, you have great dream for YSAS. I mean, at the
Yeah,
last conference, I mean, I saw the mental health minister that came in to kind of address,
you
and
did. Yeah.
so if you want to have advice for younger generation, you know, could it be the young people that are struggling with substance use, or people even we have like a stable home, or what advice will you give?
Yeah. So we've already talked about it all, but number one, don't be alone. Don't
Mm,
be isolated. Reach out. Find someone. People will help, right? So that's number one. And then second, show up.
mm,
Show up. Like I talked about persistence, keep showing up. Keep trying. Show up. That's the thing. Good things can happen if you keep showing up. And that's the one I want to hope that not just kids who've got issues, everyone's got some problems,
that's correct.
but some have got more extreme versions. But for every single younger person, show up,
Mm,
stick at it, find something you love, stick at it, and
mm.
show up. That's
I
my
like
main
that.
thing.
Showing up, very important.
Show up. And then what happens, you can work it out, but you can't do anything if you're not showing up. If
Without
you're not
showing
there,
up.
what are you doing? Don't show up and
I
then
like that. You
yeah,
have to show up first.
participate, try things, get involved.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
So, Andrew, this is gonna be my last question. Thank you so much for coming.
it's a
So,
real pleasure.
if you want to be remembered, say in the next 100 years you're no longer here, what would you like people to remember you for?
He always showed up.
Hmm.
That's it. That's it. If people remembered that, no matter how hard it was, no matter what was going on, I'm showing up.
I'm just sure.
They can count on me to be there. I'm showing up.
Hmm.
That's it. That's what I care about. I'm going to show up for you. When you ask me
Hmm.
to do this, I'm showing up for you because I care about you.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
I really mean it. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Thank you, really. That's the end of our first podcast. And
great.
for you that will be watching this, I believe there will be more to come. And as you know, this is my first, and I really appreciate Andrew for enduring my lack of journalism skill. And I believe the message is actually out there. Andrew is working for a great organization that I really have respect for. I've been a nurse for a long time, and coming to that space to see how young people who really have no hope are getting that hope. They're getting the support they need. And we've seen how some of them actually get out of that environment or to kind of have a different perspective of life. And I really appreciate you for taking time to spend this over an hour with me. And I hope one or two people will learn from this podcast, and I hope we'll be able to change some people's life. Thank you so
Me
much,
too.
Andrew.
Thanks,
Really
Latif. I've
appreciate
really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, well, I'll end it now.
Good on you, Latif.